Hardcore Henry's been one I've been really excited for quite a while now. Ever since I knew it was going to come out for the past week, I've been really excited to go see it. Lucky enough, I got to go see it yesterday on what's it, the 8th? Yeah, April the 8th, last night at about 9 o'clock. And I thought, hey, why not? I've just watched it. Let's do a review on it, especially if like some people are a bit iffy about it because obviously it's like a whole completely different new way of filming because it's all in first person view. So hopefully I can either convince or not convince people to go. But first of all, obviously, because the whole film is about the gimmick, I will say that the gimmick was used to its fullest potential. I don't think it could have been done any better for what they wanted to do with it, because it was like the whole action shooter, really balls to the wall, quite insane. It was like it was something out of like a video game, and I really thought that they did really well with what they were using, and I thought it worked incredibly well. I mean, I'm not saying it's like you feel like you are in the seat of the man running around and killing everyone. It's not the same, but I personally still really loved the just the way everything looked and it was filmed. I liked it. Maybe some people might not, but being that I play a lot of games anyway, it wasn't completely out of the ordinary or completely strange to me. A lot of scenes were improved by it. I mean, like, obviously, being first person, when people run, it does get really shaky. And obviously, also, when they fight hand to hand, it gets really shaky. So, I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, it didn't make me sit there going, ugh, ugh, this is absolutely horrible. I can't stand here to listen. Well, I can't stand here to watch people like shaking around, can't understand what's happening. I mean, it was a little bit crazy at certain points, but it wasn't like unwatchable. It didn't make me sit there and go, "Oh, nah, turn it off, please." I still enjoyed it, but it's one of those ones that you can only really go and watch in the cinema. I would not recommend ever to watch this on DVD. I can't imagine it being anywhere near as good as it was in the cinema. I would really worry that it would lose a lot of its charm and like its just overall impact if you just watched it at home on the telly. It's just not something that's going to translate well to DVD. So if you are interested in really going to watch it now while it's in the cinema, because otherwise you'll probably just ruin the whole experience for yourself when you get it home on DVD in, I don't know, a couple of months' time and go, oh, that was a bit crap. I think this is one of those films that really lives up to the 18 rating as well. Oh, it's just ridiculous. I'm not sure. Do I want to spoil it? No, I won't spoil it. But there are some really quite gruesome stuff and everything. Everything almost really packs a punch. Like when someone gets shot, it's like someone's getting shot. Like you know, in like James Bond, for example, someone fires a gun and then a guy falls on the floor, and there's like no blood, nothing. He's just dead. Like in this, it's more like the guns sound really, really good, and then when they really hit, and grenades and everything really works, and there's body parts everywhere and blood everywhere, and it's like really, really insane. But the whole film's like that, and it stays like that for basically the whole time. I was really kind of worried how they would do the whole story in first person, but they got around that really, really well. It wasn't like completely insane where like 1 minute they're in, I don't know, Russia, then the next minute they're in Bulgaria, and you're like, well, how did you get to Bulgaria and why does it matter? It's not. It's all like one clear sort of continuous thing where they're only going to like they're still in one country but different places, and rather than it chopping and changing and sort of the story running around everywhere, it sticks to sort of the straight and keeps going like you would if you were doing it yourself. It's probably the best way to say it, which was good because it didn't then just sort of cut around like a bit of a James Bond film, but the first person. It was nothing like that at all. But I couldn't fault any of the action scenes because they were great. They were absolutely amazing. They all looked brilliant, and there's not really much more that you can say because they all felt really good, and there was nothing that ever sort of sat with me and went, that wasn't a very good fight, or that wasn't a very good, gunfight. All of it was great. I think the story as well was really interesting because it, like I say, it wasn't like a James Bond film where it was like you've got to get to this one point, and the only thing that's going to happen is like normal real world stuff where it's like, oh, okay, now you've beaten this guy, now you've got to go over to here and beat this guy. Well, it's sort of in that vein, but they throw curveballs throughout the whole of the film, and stuff doesn't really. It's like it because obviously, like the whole point is you're like you. I say you, but the person that you're looking through the eyes of is like a super soldier, so you can sort of suspend disbelief a bit, and some of the bits in the story do really throw your disbelief up in the air. I really like that they didn't just sort of keep it as clean cut as like a James Bond film. It is a lot of insaneness, and that I thought that was really really great. But I think as well, for the context of the film, where it was really shooty bang bang, it didn't really get any sappy. It didn't get incredibly sappy at certain points, because I really hate that a lot of the time, even like in James Bond films, because like you're there for James Bond, and I don't really care if this woman that's been on screen for all of half hour suddenly dies. I don't care if like you're staring at her for 5 to 10 minutes, both are crying. It's like I don't really know her enough to really care that she's died, so I don't really want to sit here listening to it because it just doesn't add anything. It's boring for the most part. But luckily enough, there isn't really that in there, and like the Henry that you are is just a badass. It's great. Like throughout the whole film, it's really really good, and it sort of makes you go, yeah, he kicks ass. He's great. The only problems that I had with it was like the CGI was a bit pants. Like you could tell it was real, like it was CGI, but luckily enough, it doesn't happen enough that it really is that much of a problem. There is one point in the film where like that is really really bad, but yeah, they've explained that anyway, where they said like they mucked up the shot, and basically because they did that, they had to edit it out in post. So basically, they went back, tried to CGI that certain bit, and it looked really horrible. They know it's bad, but they couldn't do anything about it. But it's not. It doesn't linger too long for it to be bad. It just is there, and it's not very good, basically. But like I say, there isn't enough CGI to warrant there being that much of a problem, which is good because it's basically all just stunts and practical effects from that point on, which is fine by me. But I think the only personally, I think this film would have benefited 60 FPS a lot. I think in 60 FPS, this film would have been absolutely amazing. Like in 30, it was still pretty good, but maybe it would have eliminated some of the shakiness of the running and the fighting if it was in a higher frame rate. So that would just be sort of my personal take on that, really. I mean, like maybe if they brought like a DVD release out and they did 60 FPS, that would probably make me buy it. Otherwise, like I say, it's not worth getting on DVD when it comes out. And then the only other thing I was thinking about actually on the way home is like, I was just imagining this in VR. I mean, I know it would make you feel absolutely sick because you aren't moving your head, like you are moving around while your head's stationary. That would be horrible. But like if they did it like so you could actually look up and down, left and right while Henry's doing all this stuff, that'd be quite cool. That'd be really cool. But other than that, that's basically all I can say. For what I will say, it's so worth going to watch in the cinema. Go and watch it now before it leaves the cinema. Otherwise, you will just be completely disappointed if you're waiting for it to come out on DVD to watch it at home. It's so worth going to see. So yeah, that's basically my review slash thoughts on slash that's my opinion of the Hardcore Henry film. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, let me know, and I'll see you next time.